check.
Hey all you awesome viewers, this is the Stupicide, actually a fungus, and welcome to Story Time! Yay! This is my very first vague memory review, where I take very vague, faint memories that had a long-lasting impression on my mind, and today we're gonna dive into a book that I read during my childhood called Frog Medicine. Now, the only thing I remember about this book is this right here. This scene where the kid is in a doctor's office and the doctor is a frog, and as he's getting tested, the kid starts turning into a frog. He starts getting frog feet and transforming, and everything around him is transforming. There's plants growing everywhere. There's like the whole city is turning into a friggin' swamp. Like, there's still skyscrapers and everything, but there's like flooding, and that's pretty much the only thing I remember about this book. So today, we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna see if I end up remembering anything from this book, and whether, hopefully we can find out why it stuck out. Maybe it was just a cover. First page with actual stuff on it. It's this beautiful, by the way, all of the artwork in this book was done with acrylics, and I really appreciate the art. Like, just looking at the cover, and this spread right here, I mean, it's pretty good. I definitely couldn't do that with acrylics. Really detailed. Nice. So we got, like, the end of the book here or something, where we got the kid and his cat. I don't know why the cat is with him all the time, even in the doctor's office. I don't know. And the cat's looking at him like, what the hell? Something is wrong here. We got them, leaving Dr. Frank Galouf's office. See that, like, the water's ankle deep everywhere in the city. Frogtown, apparently. Now we finally have the title page with another blank page. Stop wasting paper. It was published by Scholastic. Frog Medicine by Mark Teague. Wait, what? There's no publication information in the front of the book at all. What? That's like the place you look for publication information. Like, it should be on this page. Okay, anyway. Elmo Freem wasn't paying attention the morning Mrs. Brindle brought in books for book reports. In fact, he was so busy watching a strange insect crawl across his desk that he failed to notice his classmates going to choose their books. By the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. The only book left was a small, shabby, greenish thing with an odd title. Elmo groaned when he read it. Frog Medicine, read the cover, by Dr. Frank Galouf. Okay, so right off the bat, the character is distracted heavily by bugs. That was me growing up. He wasn't paying attention, so he picked up Frog Medicine. I like how it says, by the time he realized what was happening,
it was too late.
Like, you can't really get much foreboding than that. It does not give me a good feeling. Oh boy. Oh no! I see the book in the closet. Is he gonna put off his schoolwork? Uh-oh. That afternoon, Elmo... Wait, his name is Elmo? Yeah, his name is Elmo Freem. Oh, alright, whatever. That afternoon, Elmo tried trading the book for something better, but the other kids just laughed. Frog Medicine! They shouted. Who cares about that? Okay. Are, like, 10-year-olds gonna care about the other books that were probably there? Like, Catcher in the Rye? Or, To Kill a Mockingbird? Huck Finn? Shakespeare stuff? I don't know. That's weird. Secretly, Elmo agreed. Frogs were dull creatures. What? No, frogs are freaking awesome! Frogs are rad!
Some West African frogs have been known to spontaneously change sex from male to female in a single-sex environment.
And in his opinion, good only for eating bugs and sitting in puddles. How interesting could the book be? When he got home, he threw it in the closet without even looking at it. I'll read it later, he told his cat, Leon. Kid hates frogs. I'm gonna consider that the real sin of this book. The real sin of this kid, not like frogs. Frogs are freaking awesome, although he does acknowledge how they do bring balance to the ecosystem. So, points for that. The week passed, and things got worse. The longer Elmo put off the project, the harder it seemed. Everyone else was enjoying the assignment. Roy Plumpton was reading a book called Common Household Monsters, and Arthur Flux had already finished his report on the Lost Dinosaurs of Terror Island. Even Buford Snark, who rarely did schoolwork at all, was clearly enjoying Space Aliens and You. It all seemed very unfair. Mo tried to think about other, more pleasant subjects, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the book in his closet. At the same time, it seemed as though there were frogs everywhere he looked. I wish they would all just go away, he thought. Okay, you got a book on frogs, okay? Everyone else got books on monsters, dinosaurs, aliens, still creatures, but I guess arguably more fascinating creatures? I don't know. Frogs are pretty fascinating. Wait, what? Wait, what? I thought it said that there were just frogs everywhere. It just said that there was frogs everywhere. Well, look, you got a plane up in the air with, hauling a message that just says frog. It just says frog. The Our Founder statue has frog feet. I don't know if he notices that, but what he does notice is a newspaper saying frog elected mayor. Frog elected mayor. You're a kid walking down the street. You see a newspaper that says frog elected mayor. You're not gonna pick that up and read it and find out more details? Probably not, because this kid needs to be able to continue being oblivious for a little bit longer, I guess. It's happening already. Things are turning into frogs. The night before the report was due, Elmo began to panic, took out paper and a pencil, sat down at the desk in his bedroom. I haven't got time to read the book, he told Leon. I'll just make something up. Try as he might, he could think of nothing to say. An odd way to put that. He could think of nothing to say. I guess that works. He fell asleep still worrying. So, yeah, kid's got anxiety. Either that or probably like neurodivergent. If it was a topic that interested him, he might have an easier time doing it. But yeah, things around continue to transform. His calendar is now frog. He now has a picture of a swamp on his wall for, I don't know why. The signs outside say frog and ribbit. How does frog marketing work? I just wanna, how does frog marketing work? Like, you're walking down the street, you see a billboard that just says frog. Hell yeah, I should buy that product. I'm a frog. What? So, kids started to work on the project, but didn't even want to skim the book. I've done this before. I would have at least skimmed the book, you know? Or like, tried to read as much of it as I could, you know? Maybe skip a little bit. Read the beginning, you know, some of the middle, and the end. But he didn't have time. He didn't have time to even read the book, because he delayed it so long. And then he couldn't come up with anything. And yeah. Oh god, I remember this. Oh god, I remember this panel. The next morning was dark and rainy. Elmo felt sick. I can't go to school, he told his mother. He looked at him closely and felt his forehead. Maybe a nice hot bath would help, she said. Get in the tub, and I'll run to the store for some medicine. In the bathtub, Elmo made a terrible discovery. His feet had grown long, slimy, and green. There were webs between his toes. Oh no, he cried. I'm turning into a frog! Just then he remembered the book. Frog medicine! That's what I need! And he hopped out of the tub to get it. I'd like to imagine that he literally hopped out of the tub like a frog. The fact that while he's going through this transformation he feels sick is interesting. I think that's one thing that freaked me out when I was a kid. Also, he's turning into a frog, but then why would you immediately then go like, oh, the book for the book report. That's gotta have the answer in it. The book that said frog medicine has got to have an antidote for turning into a frog. It don't make sense. Quality you can taste. Froggy's fresh earthworms. Yeah, this is another scene. I remember the flooding. This looks a lot deeper than ankle deep. He didn't even need to open the book to find what he wanted. Dr. Galoof's phone number was printed on the back cover. He'll know what to do, said Elmo as he hopped to the phone. Oh god, he literally is hopping. The doctor answered on the first ring, and he listened patiently as Elmo explained his problem. Ah, that's very rare, he said. Oh wait, hold on. Voice was deep and gravelly. That's very rare. There we go, that's better. Wait outside, and I'll send a cab to bring you to my office. So that's interesting. The doctor actually sends a cab to the kid to go to the doctor's office? And also, wait, his response to I'm growing frog feet says that's very rare. Okay. A few minutes later, Elmo and Leon, and the cat apparently, I don't know why dude, that cat is way too attached to you. I don't know, man. A few minutes later, Elmo and Leon were standing on the sidewalk in front of their apartment building. It was raining heavily. Great waterfalls fell from the rooftops, and the streets ran like rivers. Leon, who didn't like the rain much, hid under Elmo's shirt. Yeah, he's a cat. Cats usually aren't exposed to water, you know, and they end up not liking it. Oh my god, that's a frog in that apartment. That's a frog in that apartment. How oblivious was this kid to just like go around and be like, huh, everything's a lot more froggy lately. Are things normally like this? Must not be anything. Oh well. This kid doesn't seem to pay attention to anything. Damn. This guy could barely see over the dashboard. Oh my god. The cab that came to pick them up was unlike any Elmo had seen before. It was covered with patches of deep green moss. When it moved, it made a loud, wet, croaking sound. A loud, wet, croaking sound. The driver was equally strange. Although he wore a tall hat, he was so short that he could barely see that. Although he wore a tall hat, he was so short that they could barely see him over the top of the seat. He sang an odd burping song as he drove, though Elmo wasn't quite able to make out the words. Still, he was very nice, and he told them both to make themselves comfortable. Well, that's nice. He addressed the cat. So this stuff is supposed to be like patches of moss, then. I think this is another panel that I don't remember as much. The movie playing at the Frogtown Theater is Bugs, 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 starring Wart Smellin. I don't know if that's a pun on an actor's name, but hang on. With all the wet weather, the cab seemed to float along, rushing down side streets until Elmo was lost. Wait, lost? Oh, cool. So he's venturing into a part of the town that he does not find familiar. Although, I don't know. I get distracted easily, and when I'm in a car, I usually look outside of the car, so I don't know how he's not noticing all this. At some point, he became certain that they really were floating. The rain slowed, and the streets became like quiet ponds. Enormous lily pads floated on the surface. Buildings, although still very tall, were wet and mossy, and many were hung with vines. A sign read, "Welcome to Frogtown!" Imagine that, said Elmo. Yo, Doc, what are you doing? You want to work at some point? Just sitting there watching a frickin' magazine. Dr. Galoof's office was at the end of the street, or pond. Elmo couldn't decide which. Okay, so he's aware. He's aware that the streets are flooded, and his reaction is, okay. What is up with this kid? Dr. Galoof's office was at the end of the street, or pond. Elmo couldn't decide which, and it was partly underwater. Elmo thanked the driver as they got out. Did you pay him? I don't think he paid him. He's a kid, and his mom had no idea he was going for a doctor's appointment. He waded to the front door with Leon perched on his shoulder. What a strange place, he said. Even so, they were both surprised. Oh, really? Was the cat surprised? Thank you. I was wondering what emotion the cat was feeling when they walked into the door. I am very invested in the cat because there has been a lot of character development on the cat thus far. Even so, they were both surprised by the appearance of Dr. Galoof. Although he wore a lab coat and a stethoscope, the doctor was clearly a frog.
Welcome,
He said cheerfully.
and what seems to be the problem?
That's a scary-looking face. Elmo didn't quite know where to begin, so he told the doctor about his trouble with school, about the book report he had been unable to write. That's where you start? You wouldn't start with growing frickin' frog feet! The doctor's not gonna give a shit about your stupid project!
Ah, yes,
Said the doctor, as he pulled the book from the shelf.
Frog Medicine. A wonderful book, if I do say so myself. How did you like it?
Elmo was very embarrassed. He told the doctor how he'd been meaning to read the book, but that he'd kept putting it off until it was too late. You have succumbed to the curse! You have succumbed to the curse of the frog book! Anyone that lays hands on this tomb shall change the world forever! Evermore! That kind of feels like that's where this is going. Also, the cat's just sitting there looking at a bug. It's not trying to catch it. That's weird. Dr. Galoof smiled.
Well, there's your problem.
He said.
Go home and read, then write your report.
But you don't understand, said Elmo, and he lifted his foot out of the water. I'm turning into a frog. Oh no!
It's no surprise,
said the doctor.
You see, the longer you put a problem off, the worse it becomes. It's all in my book.
So is the book about procrastination? Because the title is called Frog Medicine. Elmo was not convinced. I thought you might have some medicine, he began. Dr. Galoof shook his head.
Just do your homework. The rest should take care of itself.
Anyone getting annoyed by this voice yet? Oh god, I remember this part too. Okay, at first I thought the cat was like holding its hands up like, what am I supposed to do with this? But honestly, I think he's just getting ready to dig in. Just gonna eat with his hands. He's just like, alright, cool, time to dig in. Okay, that waiter, that frog waiter is not doing his job right. Okay, he's hopping along, but like, you can't do that if you're a waiter. The shit is coming off the plate. It's falling. Okay, so this is when a grown professional takes a strange child out for dinner. It was the 90s. Since it was nearly lunchtime, the doctor took them out to eat. The restaurant was colorful, in a swampy sort of way. And although the food was not very appetizing to Elmo, Leon didn't seem to mind. See, I told you he was just digging in. Dr. Galoof was a pleasant host. With Leon, he discussed the art of catching flies, and he told them both a great deal about Frogtown. I had no idea frogs led such interesting lives, said Elmo. I was gonna say they're not real frogs, but I guess they are real frogs, but they're anthropomorphic frogs that live in a society. Society.
You really should read more,
said the doctor. And this is kind of like an alternate shot to the cover, I guess. Not the cover, this here. Except he's not hanging out the window. After lunch, Dr. Galoof put them back into the cab.
You shouldn't be late getting home,
he said.
I moves pretty slowly here in Frogtown.
Then he gave them both slimy hugs and sent them on their way. Oh, God.
Great!
Read the book!
He shouted to Elmo as they pulled away.
I think you enjoy. I think you'll enjoy it.
Elmo did enjoy the book. He opened it up as soon as they got home and found that it was full of interesting facts and strange pictures. As he read, he began to feel better. By the time he finished reading, his worries were gone. His feet had returned to normal. When his mother came back from the store, she was happy to see him feeling so good. She wasn't mad that he was faking to skip school? Okay, yeah, that's a 90s mom reaction. She put the medicine away and smiled. You should be well enough for school tomorrow, she said. Alright, so kids reading the book, his feet's back to normal. Hey, that's dinosaurs there, it's not frogs. There's nothing frog related outside, probably no more frogs. Standing at the window, Elmo looked out over the city. Storm had blown away, and the streets were drying under a warm afternoon sun. Leon lay on the windowsill. Elmo smiled and sat down to write his report. There's still an anthropomorphic frog. There's still a person frog. That's the end. Did the city never turn completely back to normal? Did all the procrastinators just turn into frogs and stay that way? Gentlemen, ladies, and MB babies, was frog medicine. The effects are probably disappearing a little at a time. Yes, that's true. But the fact that there was still a frog person, a whole frog person, on the last page kinda gives the impression that not everything was fixed. So, this kid that has trouble paying attention in class picks up a book, does not even open the book, doesn't read it because it's about frogs, and thinks that it's going to be boring because he doesn't realize that a book about frogs is going to have, well, I mean, it's a book about frog medicine, but he thinks that a book having to do with frogs isn't going to have frog facts and pictures, which that's kind of something that you would expect from a book, especially around that age. So yeah, takes the book back home. When does it actually start changing things? Just said the week passed and things got worse. So like immediately after he started disregarding the book, things started turning into frogs. Statues of people were changed into frog versions of that person. Hold on. Okay, this is frog elected mayor. Is that the mayor's last name? Or is it just saying that a frog is elected mayor? Because your founder was a frog! Are little bits of history being changed? Or is this a new development? Are frog people just becoming existent? And people are just like, okay, it's a thing that's happening. Alright, we got a frog mayor now. It's like the book is slowly bending aspects of reality, making everything frog. It's like this book has a frickin' reality stone, and then the book has a phone number. The person who wrote it, who is already a frog in a city called Frogtown, whose time operates differently than the next town over. My only guess is that Frogtown is some kind of alternate dimension, and getting your hands on this book and ignoring it causes the frog dimension to bleed over into our reality, slowly replacing aspects of our reality with frogdom. And even though the book was no longer ignored and the project was done, there's no guarantee, there's no 100% resolution at the end. There are still frog people. Not only that, the book has something to do with procrastination in it. The longer you wait to do something, the worse it gets, which is very, very true. That's good advice. I don't know what that has to do with a book called Frog Medicine. Maybe it's a book that's designed to replace aspects of reality when someone has a bad habit like procrastination. Because the doctor was a frog. He was always a frog. And he's like, turning into a frog is very rare. Which doesn't make any sense because the town that he's in, everyone's a frog. So maybe he knows. Aha, I've got it. The book was planted there. Hold on, what's the doctor's name? Galoof. The book was planted there by Dr. Galoof. It's some kind of magical reality-bending book that maybe contains Dr. Galoof's world in a book. You know, and if someone from that reality touches the book, it then brings the frog reality into our reality and bleeds everything together. So maybe he's been universe hopping, and he knows that usually when they cross over into someone else's dimension, that usually it doesn't affect their dimension beyond just them appearing or replacing a certain town, you know? And if that's the case, then... So I guess the doctor thought that it was weird, like, we crossed over into your world, but we, people shouldn't be turning into frogs. But then why does time move differently in Frogtown? Maybe the book just creates a gateway to Frogtown. But then why do they have phone numbers that humans can use?
You are tearing me apart! Frog medicine.
This book was not as nightmarish as I thought it was. It definitely stuck out in my mind because the fact of just suddenly transforming into something against your will and seeing everything around you is changing is freaking horrifying. And yes, I'm sure it's just because the author just wanted to make a book and just wanted it to be entertaining, and it's a kid's book, so their primary focus is the lesson, you know, and not world building or lore or anything like that. I'm not thinking too hard, Chris. I'm trying to make fun with this, alright? It's a review. I'm being critical. It's a review, okay? Alright, well, with that being said, kids, don't put off your work, or your world will completely change, and you might end up ruining people's lives, even though those frogs seemed perfectly happy being frog people. I don't know. It really seems like it's changing reality. It's just, wow. Okay, that was definitely a weird book. Hey everyone, thanks again so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit that like button, and click on my mushroom face to stay up to date with all my videos. If you didn't like it, go ahead and hit the dislike button. Why not? If you have any suggestions for content or just want to say hi, leave a comment, but keep it classy. That's it for now. See you next time.